forget about what you think you know. Just forget it. Because, first of all, things can change moment by moment. It's all a storyline here. And whatever storyline you had is different than the storyline I had and somebody else might have. So listening to all the people out there with their various storylines and the information that they're channeling may or may not be appropriate for the person that's just awakening.
Welcome to the Soulful Reminders podcast, your go-to spot for spiritual inspiration, growth, and connection to your true self. I'm your host, Emily Cady. Each week, I invite inspiring guests to share their unique spiritual lessons and insights, helping us all remember who we are at our core. This is more than just a podcast. It's a vibrant community where we'll explore how to unlock our full potential and embrace our essence in every aspect of our life. Life can get busy and overwhelming, but here, we focus on those soulful nudges that remind us of our incredible power. Whether you're seeking wisdom, a bit of encouragement, or simply a moment of inspiration, you're in the perfect place. Grab your favorite drink, get cozy. Let's dive into this journey together because you deserve to shine your brightest. Welcome back to the Soulful Reminders podcast. Today, I am so excited to have Dr. Joy Pedersen with me. She has so much insight and wisdom in the ascension process. And as each and every single one of us here are spiritually awakening, the guidance and the insights that she can give us are going to help you understand where you're at, that you're not alone in this process, and there is always somebody there to help you guide you through it. So, Joy, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm just so excited to be here and learn from you.
Well, thank you. It's nice to have the opportunity to share.
Absolutely. So I know before we started recording today, we were talking a little bit about the spiritual awakening and what happens to some people, not everybody, but some people when they awaken. And you were sharing some stuff that I thought was really fascinating and really powerful for my audience to hear what your insights are.
Well, I think everybody's journey is different. As we mentioned, I was born awake, so I could see the other side, but sometimes people aren't familiar with the other side. They're not necessarily open to it or been exposed to it, and all of a sudden they'll awaken and they'll see things that are bizarre, unnerving, and sometimes frightening. And that may be part of the awakening process, that they're awakening to the other side, that there's more to life than what we perceive in the physical. But I think one of the challenges that I have seen is that sometimes people will awaken and they'll see darkness, they'll see a demon, and they'll shut down their third eye because of that fear. But the problem is that that demon may be attached to them. They shouldn't get frightened, but I know it's easy to get frightened by them if you're not used to them. And but if they close their third eye, they could block their whole mission for being on Earth. They could block their ascension. And it's so important for people to be able to embrace what they're opening up to, whether it's they hear things, they see things, they smell things, they feel things, they know something's going on. And it's important just to follow those breadcrumbs, but just stay open, stay centered, and not panic. And there's plenty of us out there that are helping people through this awakening process. So, it's not like 20 years ago when I didn't even know others really doing this work, or longer. Like, where do you go? Who do you reach out to? And I think it's so important to find that support system, because there are unusual experiences that people can have, and there's plenty of resources now to help navigate all of that.
I want to go in a few different directions here. And the first direction I want to go in is as you're talking, me being a young child, I remember I could always see and hear spirits. And there were a few times that I had multiple spirits talking to me at the same time. And I felt like I was going crazy. I remember specifically one time, I was probably 7 or 8 years old, sitting in my parents' living room, and it had happened multiple times. And I remember telling them, you have to stop. You're
Mm.
making me feel like I'm going crazy. I can't handle all of this conversation in my head. And they went silent.
Oh, nice.
So that makes me think of what you're talking about is being spiritually awoken, having these entities. I don't know if they were entities. I don't know if they were guides, to be
Hmm.
honest with you. Um, the energy was heavy. I know that
Mm.
because I remember feeling like I can't handle this. Also, where my parents lived and their house is old. It was gold rush area. So there
Oh,
that
interesting.
in itself, the energy is heavy. So I think I was picking up on a lot of the energy within that community. But I'm curious. I know that I shut my third eye because I like literally lost my gifts. They went silent until
Mm.
I went into my I wouldn't think I was like 17, 18, 19 years old. And then the gifts started to awaken again.
Mm.
So I'm curious if you have any insight on that, because I've always thought, oh, they'll listen to you. One, they will listen to you, which is great.
Sometimes.
But yes, right. Sometimes uh, in that moment, they listened to me. But I'm curious, did I shut my third eye down at that time? If you're able to pick up on that?
Yes, and it's not that unusual. Like we can block a lot of the extrasensory perception that we have when we're nervous about it or when we're discounted. I was discussing this with a colleague the other day about the fact that when I was little, I was trying to even remember what I said to my own parents. And he's real clear and he was telling me that I basically shared some things but didn't get a real positive reaction. They never
So when you say share with your parents about your own gifts, you mean?
right. They
Okay.
knew so like he was saying, they knew you were different, but they didn't really poo-poo anything. They didn't like stop me from expressing myself or whatever, but um if they had been more open to receiving the information and curious, I may not have shut down to a degree, but I was always open and interested in following a spiritual path. But we do end up playing off other people's emotions and limiting beliefs. And if they're scared, we might get scared also. It's the unknown. Dealing with the other side, it can be wild and it's fascinating, but it can be
Right.
wild, and it's largely invisible.
Yeah, but sometimes it's not.
Right. But
Right.
but sometimes you have to really, like I had somebody here on Friday and I had to like, okay, who's here? And they were making noise. And I was really uncomfortable. And I realized later it was because my inner child could see, my conscious mind, my physical eyes didn't, but
Interesting.
they were making noise and I could feel the energy. So I knew what was here. I didn't know exactly what was here,
Hmm.
but because my inner child could see it, then I got nervous because it wasn't pretty. It wasn't
Okay.
a comfortable looking individual.
Right. Hmm.
So then I got nervous and but I cleared it. A lot of times they come and they need clearing. They want to
Right.
clear karma with you, or this individual felt bad because they were heartbroken because they didn't think that God loved them and they felt separate. So I connected him with God and he left.
Mm.
So sometimes there's an easy fix if we just relax into the situation, like they're here with purpose.
Hmm.
What is that purpose? So, and then you inquire and you ask and you help. And if somebody's nervous, they can always call an Archangel Michael and surrender to Source and in the situation to help navigate through it. But if you're dealing with that for the first time, yeah, it can be really unnerving.
When you had started this conversation, you were saying sometimes you're going to see some darkness or see things you don't want to see when you're spiritually awakening because it's not outside of you. It's actually something that may be attached to you or within you.
Right.
So I find it fascinating. Like some you just mentioned, sometimes entities or spirits will come to you because they need to clear karma with you. I'd love for you to elaborate a little bit more on this.
Okay, so there's a couple of different dynamics. Um, we'll start with the darkness. So everyone has darkness within them. It's because we are living in a world of duality, and there's a light and a dark. If people could understand and accept that, it would make life a lot easier.
Mm.
But people get frightened by it, and then they
Y-
shut themselves off from it.
Yeah. So do they get frightened by it because of wounds or just because they don't know?
Combination.
Okay.
Um, Sometimes it's like, well, I don't want to face my own darkness. I don't think I'm dark, especially I see it a lot with the light workers. I'm all love and light, I'm here for, all these good things. But the brighter somebody is, probably the darker their other side is.
Mm,
And if they're able to face that and clear that, that will improve their ascension quicker. Many people get frightened by it, but so if you open your third eye and you all of a sudden you're seeing a demon, send it to the light or ask Archangel Michael to take it or call one of us that specialize in it. But don't shut yourself down from it. Like don't get so frightened that you walk away from it and you like pretend it's not there because it's there. Whether
hmm.
you acknowledge it or not, it's there. It's part of you. It's in your field. So it's not like years ago, you could walk into a room and it could be filled with demons and you wouldn't know it if you weren't clairvoyant.
Right.
Now, pretty much all of the field's been clear other than the ones that are attached to individuals.
Mm.
And we need to let go of those attachments so they can ascend. And it's even demons sometimes know that it's time for them to return to source. They got the memo, even if the person didn't. It's funny. I don't know how, but they know it's time. And then
But
sometimes
sometimes they
people won't
don't
let
want
them
to.
go.
So yeah, sometimes they don't want to return even though they know it's time. That's been my
And
experience.
people don't want to let them go either,
Oh, okay.
which
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
funny. I mean, you think why, but
Yeah, no, I understand. I have a client and he has an entity attached to him and he we me and another light worker worked to remove it. We removed it and he didn't want it to go and it came back. It's part of his identity. Like this is
yeah,
who he connects with.
yeah. No, it's everybody's dynamics are different. Typically, demons are easy to release at this point. It's not
Mm-hmm.
like the battles I used to do years ago.
Mm,
Um, Now it's relatively easy, but the biggest problem I'm having is getting the point across that everyone has darkness, and it's not just that they are grumpy some days or they're angry. I mean, anger, judgment, hatred, and past lives of different dynamics can have that energy still attached to them. Or even when they were little and they were scolded as a child, sometimes we see that the parent had a demon behind them.
mm,
And that frightened the child in even a greater degree. But when we can go back in time and clear all that, or clear it today, whatever's attached now, the whole field lightens up, and
mm.
that person's experience shifts drastically.
Right. I love that. And accepting that there is that you have darkness within you. I mean, we're oneness, right? And there is this
Right.
duality.
Right. But we're not taught that, we just think of the bad guy out there
Hmm.
or the evil out there. And even with the world events that are going on, so many people are frightened about world events. And I'm always telling people that if you have a trigger from the news, there's probably something unhealed within that has a connection to the storyline, even though it might not be this specific war, for example, or this specific political battle or people. There may be a remnant of a memory of something similar that got triggered, and that is what needs to get healed. It's not that I mean, believe me, the the wars and the political issues and whatnot need to get healed. But you start with what's the trigger within, what's that connection within, heal that there, and it actually may have an effect on the external circumstances that others are experiencing firsthand. We don't know what the
Absolutely.
connections are because we're all, like you said, we're all one.
Hmm. Thank you for bringing that up because that came up for me the other day, and I was talking on YouTube Live about this, and it was like, if we don't have this, if we have a wounding within ourselves and we're seeing what's going on in the world and we're being triggered, it's time to go within to heal that. Because if we go to what's going on in the world, which we have no control over individually, unless we heal ourselves, otherwise, it's like what I was given the image from my guides is like, you have a screaming baby. This is what's going on in the world. The screaming baby. Everyone's triggered, everyone's angered, and you come at it as a screaming baby or a screaming parent. What happens? An eruption, right? Whereas if you heal yourself, you got your screaming baby, the world, and you come at it and you send it love, you send it balance. It helps dilute that energy.
Well,
And
here you give a great example of the screaming baby. This is what I did once in a restaurant. There was a screaming child in the restaurant, which was not pleasant to say the least.
right.
So rather than just complain about it or get worked up about it, or, this child is annoying my peace at the table, what I did is I did the Ho'oponopono process, which
Mm,
means to correct or set it right. So I said, what is it within me that that baby is crying? I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And the baby stopped crying because it doesn't matter what the connection is. The idea is we're all one, and if you're the one taking the responsibility to heal something, it doesn't, it's amazing what you can impact.
mm,
And so many people will go, but it's not my fault, and I didn't do anything, and I don't know those people, and all that argument that can come up only inhibits the situation. But if you sit there immediately and go, what is it within me that I'm bothered by that piece of news, or I'm frightened by this? I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. You can do that ad nauseum all day long and make a difference.
mm. So good. So, so good. The power that we have within ourselves if we're willing to go in and like heal what is hurting us,
Yeah.
and how we can transmute this disruptive energy. If we allow this disruptive energy in the world to fuel our own wounds and not heal our own wounds, we're just creating more resistance, more angst, and we're
Hmm.
going to pull out the length of suffering that people are going to have to go through.
Exactly.
Mm. So if we bring this back to the darkness within us, that is the darkness within us if we're being triggered, right?
That's part of it. But like if you think about uh who you've been in a past life and what you've done in a past life, that also is relevant because we have played both sides of the field, basically. If you're an actor and you go in and you play, I want to play the villain this time, I want to play the good guy this time, I want to have this experience now, I want to try that experience. That's no different than us incarnating and playing different roles. But when we have created imbalances or karma harmed other people, we just need to clean it up. What we get into is a big drawn out story like, oh my God, we're bad, we're terrible, how could I have, and we get into the song and dance over it instead of just saying, okay, I did that, I'm going to clean it up
Mm-hmm.
and then move on. But people can't face those things often, or they are stuck in the healing process because they can't forgive themselves.
Mm,
If the world was able to forgive themselves and others for anything and everything, the world would be able to shift dramatically quickly.
mm-hmm. Do you have any advice on how we can forgive ourselves if we're stuck in that of feeling guilty or not wanting to accept that, yeah, maybe I did have a part in doing something dark to somebody else in the past.
Well, if you know that God can't heal unless you completely forgive. So God
Wow.
could only
Can you
cle
repeat that? I want you
yeah,
to repeat
yes.
that. That is really powerful.
God can only heal what we can completely forgive.
Mm, that's
So if we're holding on to anything, that that keeps us stuck and the world stuck. Again, we're all one. So when we are able to heal ourselves and anything that we've done, we're contributing to the whole completely healing.
Thank you for saying that. That's a very powerful message right there that I hope that our listeners today really internalize. And there's no shame, right? There's no,
Because there's nobody that's squeaky clean. There's
no.
nobody that is perfect. We've all come in, we've all made mistakes. Now, here's where the mistakes started. When God discovered he existed, he had an experiment to figure out what the heck he was and what it was and what he could do and what not, like all of that. That's all this is. We're just a lot farther along in the process because we've fractaled out from God over time. So there's a lot of us having massive different experiences and living in various realities. But when you think about in the beginning, you don't know any better. Like if you were given matches for the first time and nobody told you what they were or how they worked, and you lit them and you got burned, okay, you learn and you move on, but you might have started a fire, not intending to, but then that fire continues. Well, that's the same thing as all the way till now, where we're dealing with a lot of the karma that was created in the beginning of time when we didn't know any better, when we were creating out of innocence or ignorance. Some of the arrogance has turned into evil, but and caused many of the problems in the world. But it's when we didn't know any better. So we're coming out of unconscious times. We're moving into a conscious time. Now we're aware. We know better. So you can make better choices. But then you also just clean up when you didn't know consciously. You didn't make those conscious choices. I mean, when you lived in the Middle Ages, the Dark Ages, you were in survival mode most of the time.
Yes.
Well, if you're trying to survive, you may not be always as kind to your neighbors or whatever. You
Hmm.
you know, you do things for survival. But some of those things may have hurt others. But you say, okay, that's the best I could do at the time because that was the circumstance. Now it's different, and now I can just clean it up.
Right.
Just clean it up.
Hmm. And don't repeat.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Learn from your lessons. Choose to learn from your lessons and evolve.
I know. I was talking to a priest one day and he said something about, well, because my job really is cleaning up a lot of the errors that were made throughout history. Besides a private practice helping individuals, I do a lot of world work. But so we were having this conversation and he was like, but Jesus died for everybody's sins, and that was like it should have been one and done. I said, yeah, but they weren't supposed to keep sinning.
Yeah, we have free will,
It
right?
was like he was like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
I'm
we
like,
have free will and we keep sinning. We're not learning. History seems to repeat itself. But as we evolve, we learn to correct it. And that's the beautiful
exactly.
thing. And that's where we can forgive ourselves, release it, forgive those that have hurt us and trespassed against us.
Hmm.
Yeah. I've heard there's going to be about 1 billion people awakening within the next 10 years. Probably less than that now, right? um, this is a massive awakening that is going through right now. And when you awaken, as you have been talking about, it's not always pretty. It's not always this bliss and you
Right.
see all and like what a lot of people are seeking, that Kundalini awakening so they can feel and see everything and just be in um
Yeah, right.
complete euphoria. Um, One, I think that's super dangerous for a lot of people. Our nervous systems are not able to handle that sort of high vibration. There's a
Mm,
small percentage of people that I think can, but majority of us are not able to here on this earth plane. Um, but there's a lot of us that are awakening that are not even prepared or aware of what awakening is. And when it
mm.
happens, do you have any advice for the listeners out there that maybe are just starting to awaken or that things are shifting in their life and they're like, how do I manage this new way of seeing the world? Because it's kind of scary when you see it in a different permanent awakened state.
Well, I think what happens is people all of a sudden question everything they've been taught.
Yes,
But
that's
this isn't
perfect.
true, then what else isn't?
Yeah.
And I would say, first of all, one of the things God taught me to look at is forget about what you think you know. Just forget it. Because first of all, things can change moment by moment. It's all a storyline here. And whatever storyline you had is different than the storyline I had and somebody else might have. So listening to all the people out there with their various storylines and the information that they're channeling may or may not be appropriate for the person that's just awakening. It's all fascinating to go, and YouTube is phenomenal these days for being able to get answers, but you also are opening yourself up to 9 million choices of
Right.
perspectives, right?
Hmm.
So the best thing to do is meditate and go in and really you go into your heart, you can connect to the other side through your heart. Being still is where you get the best answers. I mean, I know sometimes people struggle with it because I end up clearing for people. Sometimes they're blocks to being able to get clear answers or connect to source or whatnot. But by going within and taking that time to know that all the answers are within and what's appropriate for your path and who you need to connect to get the appropriate tools and answers for you, start there. Because once you are within and you're asking source, one of the things he taught me to ask is, what do I need to know, do, or clear about this
Mm,
situation? The other thing is, if you want to know more information, it's like, okay, I want to understand X. And you ask within first, then you can be inspired and led to the perfect and right teacher, guide,
right.
whatever, or
Hmm.
healer, whatever that person might need at that time.
Hmm.
And often your path changes because each individual that you meet may be a stepping stone to something else. And sometimes even meeting those individuals along the way are helping clear some of the karma that you're here to clear.
Hmm.
So by just following within and that guidance within, you can be led on the path that's appropriate for you.
Hmm. Yes. And I am a true believer in hiring and working with people that have already gone through it,
Hmm.
have an abilities to help guide you along so you don't like have to be alone in the process because awakening can be very scary, especially if you go through a dark night of the soul or like you were talking about, you're seeing darkness that is attached to you and how do you get rid of it? And if there's an you're in a fear state, you're only going to bring it on.
Right.
So having somebody that is not in a fear state knows how to handle it, such as yourself, and help them release those dark or dense energies that may be attached, I think is important. Can you share with us a little bit about what you do and if any of the audience listeners feel called to work with you, how you may be able to help them out?
Sure. So what I do is I tune into people's energy. I clear their energy and uplift it. And then I'm doing a deep dive into whatever is concerning them. And a lot of times I'm led to past lives where some of these issues started, and I could tell what somebody was thinking or feeling, or some of the karma that was created. I've done a lot with past lives of persecution, which is one of the things that holds a lot of light workers back, including
Yeah.
myself, because getting persecuted gets old after a while. Being
Right.
killed gets old after a while.
Yep.
So when you can clean that stuff up, you're more free to fully self-express and live your purpose. So what I'm really doing is helping people where they're at. So whatever their concerns are, whether it's relationships, money, or business, or confidence, it doesn't really matter. But what I'm doing is just tuning into really what's behind the situation, what's contributing to it, whether it's ancestral or past life, or even sometimes it's this lifetime, but this lifetime is usually a reflection of all the rest.
Mhm.
So
Right.
I'm basically clearing that up, and I'll always speak to somebody up front. They can schedule a get acquainted call with me to see if we're fit to work together, and they can always do that through talkwithjoy.com.
Awesome. So that's the best way to get a hold of you is talkwithjoy.com.
Yes, or they can
Okay.
just reach out to my website.
Joy Pedersen.com. I
Right.
will also include that in the description of this show. So wonderful. Do you have any closing message or any last minute thing that you would like to share with the audience, especially with what we're currently going through in the world right now?
Well, I will say this. I do have free gifts, a free gift bundle, giftsfromjoy.com. So that might help with some of the information as far as understanding karma, life on earth, death, like even darkness. There's a channeled message from a demon explaining their role.
Oh, I love it.
So there's
I'll
a
make sure
variety
that
of.
that link is in the description too.
Yeah, Gifts from Joy has a lot of different tools, but I just want people to understand right now that it's always the work on the self and less so on what's going on. Like, don't give your power away to what's going on in the world, because that might be someone else, or that someone else may be a country or a group that is dealing with karma versus where you're at. So their karma, their problems, what's happening to somebody else may not affect you because you're working on yourself and you're releasing your own karma and you're raising your own vibration. And the world is splitting between 3D and 5D, which is a dimensional shift. Not necessarily people are going to get moved, but when you vibrate higher, you have less nonsense to clear, to work on or to deal with. The trials and tribulations now that many people are facing is their own karma. So when you work on your own and you clean yourself up, you don't have to worry about what's happening to somebody else. You can have compassion for them, but it doesn't necessarily make it yours to deal with.
Mm, yes. And you may be interfering with their karma if you are making it
Yes.
yours. So the power behind, I love what you do and what you just said, the power behind working on yourself will also put you more likely on that 5D timeline. You have to make
Hmm.
the commitment, but being on that timeline, can you share really quickly a little bit about that with the audience?
Yeah. So this is all about the new golden age, new earth. The fifth dimension is a higher vibration. So life is meant to be more in balance, more peaceful, more abundant, more easy, effortless. You can connect with the other side with more ease. There's more flow. 3D is a much more dense energy. And when God said, for example, let go of what you think you know, what we think we know is a lot based on that past. To embrace the new possibilities, you have to be open to them by letting go of that past, being open to new information, and allowing yourself to be led and guided by your higher self to what you're here for and what's purposeful now. And as I said earlier, you're always cleaning up whatever disturbs you in the moment. And when you clean up what disturbs you in the moment, then you can move forward with ease. And it's like you're nipping things in the bud. You're nipping it in the bud. Every time there's a glitch, you just nip it in the bud by clearing it in that moment, and then you move on. And life is going to continue to get easier. It doesn't mean that all challenges and struggles go away permanently, because sometimes that's what we're here to learn is something, and we learn through struggle or a challenge. But you can manage it a lot easier when you are more present in the moment, knowing, oh, okay, this is something I need to do, learn or evolve, and let me see what I can clean up about it, what do I need to learn about it, and know that the future is as positive and bright as we make ourselves to be.
So beautifully said. I really have enjoyed this conversation. Um, for each and every single one of us that are awakening to embrace the good, the bad, the ugly, that is all within ourselves. There is no shame of who you are. You are evolving as a being, and you are ready to step up to this next level of you, who you are at your true essence. And so that you can step onto this 5D timeline and enjoy life with balance, ease, and harmony. I love this, Dr. Joy. Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining me today, and our listeners as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Soulful Reminders podcast. I hope you're feeling inspired and empowered by the incredible insights we shared today. Remember, every story and lesson we explore is a beautiful reminder of the immense potential that resides within you. As you continue on your journey, take these soulful nudges with you. Embrace your true essence and actively work towards unlocking your full potential in every area of your life. If this episode resonated with you, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. And don't keep this goodness to yourself. Share it with others who could use this little reminder too. Until next time, keep shining your light. Remember, you're not alone in this journey. Together, we can uplift and inspire one another to live fully and authentically. You got this.